Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Subcommittee of Appropriations on Transportation and the Environment. We have one to take up today, which is HB 414. And I see Delegate Beitzel's getting on, so while we're waiting for him to lock in, let me thank the subcommittee for the support in the full committee. Unlike some of the other subcommittees, we addressed our disputes at the subcommittee level and didn't bring it to the full committee. So I appreciate the support and cooperation. And again, I think it was a pretty good product, even if we have some little nits and differences here and there. Beitzel, I was just saying we have one bill to take up. It's HB 414.
Okay.
David, Southern Maryland Rapid Transit Project funding bill. There are amendments which I have put forth, and I think everybody should have gotten a couple of different reprints from Ken. The changes in the reprints don't change the overall intent. We were just sort of dealing with some technical issues to make sure we were modifying the bill appropriately in a form that our friends at DLS would tolerate and be able to move forward with. Before I sort of walk through the reprints, let me just say that I've been working with MDOT on this. Shout out to Melissa there, and I'm sure her superiors and colleagues who, with these amendments, are neutral on the bill. A bill they were supposed to be neutral on the bill. With these amendments. So just a reminder, the Southern Maryland Rapid Transit Project's been around a long time. I think Delegate probably saw it cross her desk in her previous life at MDOT. That's how long it's been around.
That is right.
Last year or 2 years ago, I guess last year, Secretary Slater put the project back in the CTP without funding and cooperated with the local governments on their attempt to get a build grant from the federal government, which they were unsuccessful in getting, but MDOT was cooperative in trying to move the project forward. The project now is at the NEPA stage. It needs the significant environment, going through the alternatives, picking a locally preferred alternative and alignment and so on. And so that was the goal of the bill, is to advance that forward. So let me just walk through the bill as amended. Essentially, lays out what the project is, and then basically says, for 5 years, FY23 to FY27, the legislature wants to mandate $5 million total. So that's not $5 million a year, but $5 million total in any one of those years or in any combination across those years, contingent on federal money to advance the NEPA review of the project. So this would basically require the locals and or MDOT or collaboratively to go forward and get federal funding of some kind for NEPA. And if they do that, then it's the legislature's view that $5 million of state money should be made available. That's a floor, not a ceiling. So if the Department of Transportation now or in the future wants to commit more money, they'd be able to do that. But that's the idea of the bill. So again, the total mandate that's available is $5 million over the course of 5 years total, not each year. All contingent on federal funding. So there would have to be federal participation for this to go forward. And so that's it. It's more complicated to read than to explain, but that's the idea. So
I'll move the amendments.
Second.
Discussion on the amendments. Okay, all in favor of the amendments signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to the amendments?
Move the bill as amended.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the bill?
Yes.
Delegate Beitzel?
Just again, for the clarification background, there was at one point some question about the support of this and the alignment that they were doing from the counties down in Southern Maryland, or at least the one county. Is that Charles County?
Yeah, I mean, I think, sorry, go ahead, Delegate.
Have they reached consensus? Is there support from the local jurisdiction, the local governments for this project?
Yeah, so Charles County certainly supports the overall project. I think there's questions about the alignment and the mode, right? Whether it's going to be a BRT or a light rail or hovercraft. I don't think this bill commits us to answers on those questions. It just allows the NEPA process to continue as they wrestle with those questions. Charles County is supportive of this effort. The project starts in Prince George's County at Branch Avenue.
Right. Yeah.
And while I would say that in general, I think Prince George's County has been supportive of the project, they have not been, it hasn't been a priority of theirs the way it has been for Charles County. I think that's
Also correct.
Delegate Lewis, you can disagree with me. I just think that's a fair assessment. It just hasn't been at the top level of priorities the way it has been for Charles.
No, the county is generally supportive, but not over other priorities we have that are exclusively for our county.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Delegate Reitzel.
Yeah, and then just to follow up on that, I'd asked a question before about where this ends, and is it in at the metro? Is there going to be some way that can tie into the purple line so that there's some continuity?
Sure. So I think, and Delegate Lewis, I mean, feel free to chime in. My understanding of this project is it's obviously not, there's no scenario where it would be metro rail technology. So it would not be able to interchange with the metro system. But the idea is that you'd be able to, as an individual, interconnect with the metro. So you could get off this light rail line and get on the Branch Avenue metro.
Correct.
It would not be a direct interconnection.
Well, that's what I mean, that they will.
This
it will
isn't like
end
the
at
silver
some-
line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like
But
the
yeah,
silver line.
but the idea, so if you think about the line, right, the purple line connects multiple metro rail stations. So I'd be able to ride, hypothetically, from the Bethesda on the light rail line to Silver Spring. The purple line is not going to put me directly on to the metro line at Silver Spring, but I could
Right.
walk from the purple line
The
to the
station.
metro line at Silver Spring.
Right, the stations there that you can jump off of that and walk down to jump on the other one or up or whatever.
Right, exactly.
Can you remind me, BRT, does that mean, and obviously it rides on a road, does that road exclusively for that bus system?
Sure. So the idea of bus rapid transit in general is that the more of dedicated lanes it has, the more effective it is, because it's.
Ask Carol if
Makes
she
it
can
more-
get,
Carol,
can you
can you
mute?
mute your, or can, maybe Cherie can mute her? Yeah. Okay,
Somebody
thank
is.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
thanks.
BRT typically is thought of as having dedicated lanes, but sometimes it's a mix of dedicated lanes and mixed traffic. You know,
Sorry.
we, Delegate Kitterman, I know you'll appreciate that. It's not our job to sort of figure out exactly how the alignment would work and the technology we use and where to do mixed traffic and not. This bill is just to move along that process, to let it go through NEPA if they get federal funding to, frankly, work all that out.
It sounds like a very reasonable proposal. I'd like to support it, but I have to stick with my anti-mandate vote, so.
Okay,
if I can have one more follow-up there, Mr. Chairman.
sure.
I understand you worked real hard on this with the administration, Secretary Slater. You're saying now they are not in opposition, they have a neutral position on this?
That is what Melissa at MDOT informed me by email.
And did they also, you had indicated that he had put in the CTP previously, but did not have any money for it. So this would require that it's in the CTP, this would require now there to be some funding for it.
So first of all, let me say that in addition to expressing their study neutrality, they also provided technical comments that we incorporated to the actual language to make sure. Secretary Slater restored the project to the CTP without funding. This put funding behind it from the state contingent on federal funding. So there have to be federal dollars on the table for the state to be committing these funds. So it is a mandate, Delegate Kittelman. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I would just say it's a little bit different than some of our other mandates in that it's not saying the governor has to put this in the budget, in the next budget year. It's contingent on federal funds.
And just, I'm sorry, but I think it's good to bring this out, but I just, for sure, and not for sure, but is it safe to say that, the idea is to move this project along, and the hope is at some point in the future, they'll get this project done. But is it safe to say, is it correct to say that if they do this project, it will require additional money from the Transportation Trust Fund or some other source in order to pay for the operation of it, that users alone will not pay for the operation of the system?
I think outside of Asia, there are no transit systems that
Yeah.
are self-funded. And as we've discussed many times, there's actually no mode of transportation in the United States
Right.
that is self-funded. And if you want me to get the receipts of all the federal fund contributions to the Federal Transportation Trust Fund that have then been passed down to the states, Delegate Lewis could probably help with that, given his other work. But I hear you. This bill does not start operations of a new light rail line or a new rapid transit line. It just basically says that we would like to see the state, if there's federal money available, continue the NEPA process on that.
Happy to comply with those records if you want them.
Other questions? Or
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
no, thank you.
I
Delegate,
think the bill's been moved and
our meeting
seconded.
or another
Yeah,
meeting?
we moved and seconded, and in between that time, I went in and did my bill hearing in JPR. So
Wow, you got it at JPR before a week ago. That's unusual for us. We better get going then on the vote. Unless there's, sorry, Delegate Metzger, he's just giving us a thumbs up. All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Those who want to be recorded in the negative, please raise a hand. Delegate Kittleman. He's in the negative. Delegate Metzger, Delegate Beitzer, I just want to make sure you don't want to be in the negative. Delegate Metzger, you have to tell me what you're trying to signal.
can't hear you. Can't hear you.
I'm in the affirmative.
Okay,
Okay. So can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
sure. The bill passes. Delegate Krim, Vice Chair.
We're getting a lot of phone calls on 1099. And some people who called today said they thought we were voting on it today. I don't know where they're getting their information, but I just wanted to make you aware that a lot of people are calling on that. So I don't know if you're all getting the same calls, but
Yep, getting the same calls and tweets and emails, and the bill's still sitting with the subcommittee. And was not on today's voting list.
What is 1099? Well,
It's the
That's the cemetery bill we
bill.
discussed last week.
oh, okay, yeah, you can hold that one.
Well, we'll see. It's still sitting with the subcommittee.
okay. All right. All right.
Thank
That's
you all
I
for
wanted
doing
to
this
say.
so quickly. I think with that, we're adjourned. I'll see you all
On the floor.
all right. Thank you.